Okay, right. So this question is question 109. This is a good question. This is the main question I'm going to do to illustrate um, the topics of um, variable. Let me just this is page 74. Let me just go to one um, page 70. I just want to show you what I mean. So page 109, operating statements. Okay, so we've done Goggle, but then this question here illustrates all of these. So, and in fact, I think there's an extra bit here that is not covered here. But if you work through this one, then you'll be fine with these ones. So this is the only one I'm going to do, but it covers all of these. Right. Okay, so 109, task force. Now, the thing about this question, again, that I say is good is that it forces you, it wants you to literally pull out everything. So it's not quite as straightforward. They give you some information, but you literally have to work everything out. So let's do that, right? I won't even bother answering the first part yet. I can do that at the end. So this bit um, over here, I can do that. This is the bit that if we do now, you can take into all the other questions, and we should be used to that now. So let's begin. So we have a situation where we have the budgeted information, and we're going to use this information from here we're basically going to flex that information around 41,250, but we need the original information to start with. So we know that we have a production volume, it tells us, of budgeted 40,000 units. And in terms of just materials, let's start with materials. You are expected to use 80,000 kilograms to make these 40,000 units. So therefore, for one unit, I suppose you will accept that you need 2 kilograms. You were going to buy these 80,000 kilograms for £240,000, and therefore you would accept that 1 kilogram, from a standard point of view, would be three pounds, right? £3. So standards here, one unit, we need 2 kilograms. 1 kilogram should cost £3. So that's our standard cost of £3. Okay, I'm using this page, so I'm just going to keep giving myself space here. So I have this as my um, opening information. So let's plot our graphs. Yes, I mean we know that now. Yes, I will highlight that again when I talk. So what do we have here? We have, oops, sorry, we have something that looks like this, and we have something that looks like this. Okay, so what do we have? Like I just said, now we need 2 kilograms to make each unit, and it's £3 per kilogram. Remember, where focus is on inputs. So I always put in the side here the 41,250 units. So therefore, to make 41,250 units, I expect to use 2 times 41,250 kilograms. I expect that, right? And so 2 times 41,250 is 82,500. I expect to use 82,500, but you have used, I'll change my pen color, you have used 86,625. So from an efficiency point of view, I can find the difference now. But let's just prove this price variance, because you see, they don't tell us if it's favorable or adverse, which is why I'm saying you literally still had to do everything. You are supposed to spend £3 on each of those kilograms. That's what you're supposed to do. So you're supposed to spend £3 times 86,625. So 3 times 86,625 is 250. You're supposed to spend £259,000, 875. That's what you're supposed to spend. But you spent, it says it here, you spent 256,410. So when you subtract those two from each other, 259,875 minus 256,410, you get 3,465. So this is favorable. You spent less than you should have. So I'll just do this step by step. I'll go back to so that here it's favorable. So you write it here, favorable, right? Because that's your price variance. Let's look at the usage variance then. So the usage variance would have been, here we are, you were supposed to use 82,500. You've used 86,600. So how many extra kilograms have you used? 86625 minus 82,500, right? And what do we have there? 86625 minus 82,500 gives you 4,125 kilograms at 3 pounds. So 4125 times 3 is equal to 12,375. And that's adverse, right? Because you used more than you should have. That's 12,375 adverse. It's nothing to do with this. It just happens to be the same amount. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to have here 12,375 adverse. Adverse. Okay, right. So that's that done. Let's just tidy that up and clean this up so that we have space to look at labor. And the same principles apply. The same principles apply, and the same will apply to all the other questions you do. You need to take your time, and you literally need to walk through and prove the prove those figures as you go ahead. Right. So what do we have here? It says here that in terms of labor hours, you believe that you will need 60,000 hours to make 40,000 units. That's the plan. Therefore, to make 1 unit, we're expecting you to, therefore, that's 1.5 hours to make 1 unit, right? To buy the hours, you intend on paying 156,000 for 60,000 hours. Therefore, for 1 hour, that's 156,000 divided by 60,000. So 156,000 divided by 60 is £2.60. Let me just check that out again very carefully. 156,000 divided by 60,000 is £2.60. So your intention is to pay £2.60. That's your standard cost. You pay £2.60 per hour, and it is 1.5 hours to make a unit. So you make 41,250 units. So 1.5 times 41,250 is 61,875. That's what we expect you to use. We expect you to use 61,875. So, but look at that. That's the exact actual number of hours that you actually use. So in terms of efficiency, from an efficiency point of view, you're spot on. There's no difference between what you used and what we expected. So I can qualify that as 0 straight away. So my efficiency variance is 0. Your labor rate is given to you, I believe, but let's work it out. So we expect you to spend £2.60 times 61,875. That's what we expect you to spend, if you like. And that £2.60 times 61,875 is 160,875. What did you spend? You spent 173,250. So you spent more than you should have. By how much? Subtract the 2, 173, 250, and you get 12,375. And that is adverse. So to be fair, probably this is the only gift they've given us, telling us this is adverse and giving us the answers. So you have that. Now let's look at variable overheads. Looking at variable overheads. So 1 second, let me just tidy that up a little. Looking at variable overheads, we have classic scenario again. We are told that you will need 60, well, because variable overheads are based on labor hours, we need 60,000 hours to make 40,000 units. So again, we know that that is really a case of 1.5 hours that we're basing this on. So 1.5 hours for every unit. In terms of the value or cost of those hours, 60,000 hours to cost 84,000. So therefore, one of those hours must be 84,000. Thank you. 84,000. 1 hour would be 84,000 divided by 60,000, and so 84 divided by 60 is 1.4. So £1.40 per hour is the figure we're working with here, and we are putting in 1.5 hours for every unit. So 1.5 times 41,250. We will experience exactly the same thing. That comes exactly to 61,875. So again, that's what actually happened. Of course, that's what actually happened. And so there is no efficiency variance, right? That's nothing. We are told at 2475, but let's actually work out to see what's happening. So you should have spent £1.40 times 61,875 hours. That's what you should have spent. £1.40 on that. So that's 1.4 times 61,875. And that's 86,000. You should have spent 86,625. But you've spent 84,150. That's what you've spent. And so because you've spent 84,150, that comes out as 2475. And this is favorable because you've actually spent less than you should have. So I can come here and I can write here favorable. I can come here and write favorable. Okay, so let's finish off with the fixed overhead situation. Let's just clean up a little here. Tidy up a little here. And just see what's going on with fixed overheads. So we are told in the question that we have fixed overheads. The budget is, I've been going on about this a lot, haven't I? The budget is 118,000. What actually happens is that you actually did 120,000. So, I mean, I suppose you could think of this. I mean, this is the expenditure budget. This thing here, the difference between the fixed overheads and the actual, that's the actual expenditure budget. But let's kind of work it through just so I can show you what really happened here, right? So what happened here was that you started off with 118,000, and then you divide that, of course, by 40,000 units. Yes, this is the method I've been talking about all the time. So you have 118,000 divided by 40,000, which is £2.95. So your overhead absorption rate is £2.95. That's what you're putting with every unit. So you make 41,250 units. So that's times 41,250 units. And so therefore 41,250. So you've put into your system so far 121,687.5. That's what you've put in into your accounts, if you like. That's the first point. Now, we know that what actually happened was that you had costs of, it says it 120,000, but your budget was 118,000. So from everything I've been going on about today, the first task is to sort of look at the volume. I mean, it doesn't really matter. What would happen here is that this is what would have happened, and then this is what you're being accounting. You say, oh my gosh, the difference is 1687.50 adverse. That's what you would say, right? But what I'm saying is that, I mean, that's what this is, isn't it? This is what you have in your accounts. Sorry, favorable, forgive me. You would say, oh, we have we spent 120,000. Our accounts are saying 121,687, and as such, this is a favorable relationship, right? But really, what is this made up of? And this is made up of this: you overabsorbed, you put in too much, right? And this volume variance is a relationship between, let's just bring it back to what the budget is. We should never have messed around with this. So we have 121,687. So bringing it down gives us a favorable variance of 121,687 minus 118,000, which is 3,687.50. That's favorable. But what actually happened in the end was we actually have an unfavorable change between the budget and what actually happened of 2,000, which is adverse. So you have an adverse, and we call this variance the expenditure variance, don't we? The expenditure variance is the relationship literally between what the budget was and what actually happened. And so you have a 2,000 adverse variance when it comes to the expenditure. So that's the volume, and that's the expenditure. And together you have a 1687.50 favorable variance. So let's just go to this expenditure variance. And the expenditure variance, like I said here, was 2,000 adverse, but the volume variance was 3687.50 favorable. Yeah. Right, and I think that doing this will cover any other question you get following. If you can walk through this, you're literally just pulling out all the variances again. Right, so I said that earlier. I didn't calculate this, but let me just do that bit now. Oops, let me just do that bit here. And really, we did something like that where we said, well, because we're absorbing all the overheads, this is the total cost of making 40,000 units. So 598 divided by 40,000 is the standard cost of a unit. So 598 divided by 40,000 is 14.95. And therefore, the standard cost of making these 41,250 units must be the 41,250 is 6. When you multiply this together, you get 616687.5. Right? Then that's what we have here. 616687.50. And then you do all that, and that should all nicely work. Remember that favorable variances are reducing the cost, right? And adverse variances, these are reducing the cost, these are increasing it, these are increasing it, these are reducing it, and this is increasing it, and this is reducing it. And if you add all that, you should get that answer over there. Right. Now the last bit of this question is over here, and it's just a little bit, but that we just need to kind of work through it very quickly. And this is the only question I've seen this sort of extra bit there. Most of the other questions are just the top bit, so which is why I've highlighted that this was good revision as a question for the others. So let's just do that. Let's see, here we are. So right, here we are. So this question starts off saying that one of the accounting technicians has made some mistakes, needs some help. So what do we have here? We have something that gives us, we have some volume variance. We're given the volume variance, and the volume variance, if you like, is the relationship. The volume variance is the relationship between your actual events and your budgets. So we'll see that in a second. And we're also told here that we have just the fact that we see a 7,000 here. This means this is an over absorption. So we can see we have an over absorption here. These are the actual overheads actually incurred. So we're kind of going back a little to what we talked about earlier on, but the principle is still the same, and they give us the actual production. So what's happened here is that your actual overheads that you've actually incurred are 180,000, and the question is telling us, so the actual overheads incurred 180,000, but we've been told, if you remember how we used to do this, we've been told that we have currently over absorbed. So in our system, due to our very interesting accounting that we do, we have put in an extra 7,000 too much. So the question here is, what have we put in? So if you think about it, we have put in 187,000 because what actually happened was 180,000, but we have put in an extra 7,000. So we've done this. We've put in, and remember that how this really works is that we find this fixed overhead absorption rate, we multiply it by the actual number of units times 22,000, and then we get a figure in our accounts, right? That's the whole point, and then we start adjusting, right? So this 4 times 22,000 is what's giving us this 187,000. I think that's the important point. The point is that we have this over absorption and this total. So this is the actual, but now we can find by how much we've actually put things in. And that's that. So the question here is, what is this overhead absorption rate we're using? And this overhead absorption rate is 187,000 divided by 22,000, and that gives you 187,000 divided by 22,000, and that gives you £8.50. So you're currently putting in stuff at £8.50 per unit. Now, again, the point here is that it's telling you that you have a fixed overhead volume variance, and if you remember, the volume variance was us bringing down this thing to what we actually budgeted. That was the whole point. Remember, it was like, oh, we're taking what we have in the accounts and bringing it down to the actual budgeted volume because we want to start with the budget. We want to get rid of that nonsense. And it tells us it's 4,250 favorable, which means that by adjusting this, bringing it down by 4,250, we come down to a budgeted figure, which is 187,000 minus 4,250. That is 182,750. So the budget was 182,750. That's the situation because we know what the volume variance is. So so the truth is that the budget doesn't go into our accounts at all. We get given the budget separately. You get something like this 182,750, right? And then, but you will work out this budget based on what you expect units to be, which is what we're going to work out by a budgeted unit. You'll calculate £8.50, and you start putting £8.50 times your number of units, and you'll get to 187. Then the question will tell you, oh, actually, actual production. I'll just change my pen color, or actual cost in the end was actually 180,000, right? Was on 180,000. That's what we know. We know that the actual cost was 180,000. So this bit here, I don't know if they ask us for this 2,750 is the expenditure variance. That's the difference between the budget, and it's favorable because we spent 180,000. You expected you put in 182,750. That's the expenditure variance, and here is your volume variance. So this question is asking, what is that budgeted overhead? Well, that's 182,750. I calculated my absorption rate at £8.50, and my budgeted units, of course, will be based on that 182,750 divided by £8.50. And when I do that, 182,750 divided by £8.50, I get 21,500. And so that's 21,500. What was the trick here? I think the trick was to identify these. These are the two that you're always going to be dealing with. In a way, they kind of work backwards. Typically, you would find this, but they told you, oh, there was an overabsorption in the end between, and any overabsorption is this discusses the relationship between actual costs and what you've put in, your kind of flexed budget, if that makes any sense. And that's what we're seeing there. And from here, we could then kind of start working backwards because we could then deal with this based on the total number of units, because we could then go backwards and find the £8.50. And then they give us some more information on your volume variance. And your volume variance is about bringing what you've put in, what you've flexed, back down to the budget, right? Because you should have left it alone. In fact, this is all we should be talking about. But no, you decided to do that. So there you are. Cool, great stuff. So I think this question, I've tried to make it lengthy, will suffice and help for all the other questions in this sort of category. And so which means we move on to controllable and uncontrollable variances next.